Hello friends, welcome to another episode of I Play Games and Film It. Welcome to an episode of Dan Talks, or Babbles, or Blabbers on, about a bunch of stuff that he's been thinking about, and, well, why am I talking about myself in the third person? What a pretentious dick. Sorry everyone, it's me, I'm Dan, and I want to talk. I just love to talk about certain things that have been going on lately, and certain things that have kind of come into the public eye, or just anything that I've just been thinking about, something that's perturbed me over time. And this week, or actually lately, something that's perturbed me recently is the knowledge of this gentleman, Julien Blanc, and what he does for a living. Now, for those of us who are British, will be familiar with the name Dapper Laughs, or might be familiar with the name Dapper Laughs. Hopefully not, because you won't have reason to kind of get your blood boiling once a day just thinking about that fucker. But basically, what he is a pickup artist, but not... This isn't to say that all pickup artists are bad. In fact, no, they are. What am I talking about? Of course they are, because they're pickup artists. I'm thinking more about like confidence coaches and stuff like that. People who can make you feel more confident doing your day-to-day thing. Those people are different, and those people are all right. To make you feel just more confident on a day-to-day basis, those guys are okay. Julien Blanc is actually a... how could you put it? Sexual predator guru, if you want. He's like teaching people how to behave in the most deplorable way as a male, and how to bring the entire reputation of males down to zero. He's one of those guys, and boy is he doing a great job at that. He's doing a world tour at the moment, which is failing, thankfully, down to people sharing knowledge about him, talking about him, and so on. And that's making us all feel good, that we're stopping it. But one thing that I actually did think about while kind of going through all the stuff that he's doing, for those of you who want to know, basically he's teaching people things like grab a girl by the head, force her head into your crotch, and because you're in Japan, it's okay to say things like Pikachu, 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 because it's appropriating their culture and they'll laugh at it and think it's hilarious. That's the kind of thing that he's teaching. Yeah, one thing that I've been thinking about though, because you watch this video and he's standing in front of, it's like a seminar, he's standing in front of these like group of men, and they're all sitting there soaking up every single word, everything he's saying, they're soaking it up like it was, you know, like it was money, like it was gold bullion that he's just throwing at them, and they're just taking it like, yes, this is brilliant, this is excellent. And the part that bothered me about that was the not so much that Julien was spreading this message, but more the fact that there was all these guys in this room actually absorbing what he was saying. That's the part that actually perturbed me the most, because I've had this kind of blanket perspective with stuff like this, like bad things, where it's not that I've gone, well, you know, this is why it happens. It's not bad that this happens. It's not bad that someone sells this. It's bad that people want it to be sold to them. No, because that's not the case. And obviously what Julien does kind of perpetuates and encourages and reinforces the, how could I say, the culture of the pickup artist and the sexual predator behavior, excuse me. Oh my goodness. But I always think to myself, when we go on these witch hunts for these guys, how rarely do we actually see someone turn around and go, hang on a minute, like Julien's doing this, but what about all the guys in there who are paying him? I'm not even joking, they're paying him to tell them this stuff. These guys are investing money in Julien to do this. Now that's something that concerns me, because in this world today, nothing can really confirm what you're doing. I mean, not about right or wrong, but nothing can confirm what you're doing better than being paid to do it. And it doesn't even matter what you're doing. I mean, there are people out there in the world who are actually getting paid to do worse things than what Julien's doing. And it's not... I don't want to again defend them to say like it's bad. I don't know how to crouch. Why I don't know how to crouch? It's not that I'm trying to defend it and say, you know, of course you're allowed to sell it. If you can make money off it, sell it. What I'm saying is, if there was no market, if no one wanted it, people wouldn't be selling it. And I think that's part of the root, perhaps, for me, of the problem, is the fact that there are enough guys out there who require this service that Julien is offering, that Julien's actually making money off it. That does worry me. That does worry me, because that literally tells me that there are guys who think it's okay to coerce or manipulate women into sleeping with them. And that's their mindset. Now, whether they're conscious that it's okay for this or not, I mean, that's up for question, because I give a little bit of leeway into ignorance, so long as they're not then actively, you know, raping people and so on, because that crosses a moral boundary that I just think no one should be so stupid to miss. But when you're out there trying to learn it, I think that the reality of what you're actually doing hasn't hit home yet, particularly when your own intentions sit so strongly in your mind. Like, these guys, they must be so unfortunately desperate for sex that they haven't completely thought through what it is that they're actually going out there doing. All they're thinking is, man, I cannot wait to get laid. Oh, you're fucking kidding me. We miss out the part, sorry, where these guys don't even realize what this is leading to. They're in this culture, they've already got it in their heads that the behavior they put forward is accepted and acceptable. The fact that they haven't thought that perhaps if they wanted to, if sex is on their mind, if sex is what they wanted, and I mean, I'm going to say this quite sincerely, because let's be honest, wanting sex is not a bad thing. Wanting sex is not wrong. Wanting sex is not immoral. It's a natural, humanistic desire. We all, well, I say we all, a vast majority of us, you know, will want sex at some point. It's part of our biology. It's you know, why we're human. It's part of what makes us human anyway. So wanting sex is not wrong, and we shouldn't teach people that that's wrong to want sex. It's a matter of, you know, management, randy management, if you want. It's a matter of how we actually treat that culture of sex. You know, how we don't let it spill over into treating other people with complete disrespect and disdain. The fact that just because we want sex, it doesn't mean that we deserve to have it there and then. Things like that. But it seems that lesson seems to completely surpass these guys through whatever it is, be it the music they listen to, be it the TV they watch, be it the friends they have, be it the culture they exist in. God knows what it is. Anyone knows what it is, but it's that is the problem, really. It's the idea that these guys have obviously been left and neglected in terms of their social development. They've been left behind, and they've allowed themselves to become shrouded and drowned in this culture where, you know, apparently women are just there for sex. They're there to please them, and that's it. That's a problem. And I will actually open up, completely throw my hands in the air and throw myself into the fire line and say I was one of these guys. I was one of these boys who grew up. I went to an all-boys school, which I guess had its own kind of cultural development for me, and certainly in terms of sexual politics, so I had that kind of development for me. And that's not to say, again, all the guys that came out of that school ended up being, like, misogynists. I was one of those guys. And I think it was also a matter of the music I might have listened to and the way that things worked for me. I guess I just hadn't been socially nourished enough to understand, you know, the social boundaries and how to treat people of the opposite sex. Women and ladies. And honestly, I was so blind to it. I was completely blind to it. And I went through life thinking that it was okay, and I didn't explicitly think to myself, you know, women are objects and women are this and women are lesser than men, but it was clear that in my behaviour that I had that implanted in my mind, and that it was perfectly acceptable, and it was perpetuated through guys like Dapper Laughs and people like that who would say things about women that were completely unacceptable, completely not allowed and not cool. And funnily enough, over time, I've noticed that this message gets sent out everywhere, all the time, and it's in TV comedy, it's in films, it's in advertising, it's everywhere. This kind of joke about men being masculine and so on, and women being lesser, and it honestly, it gets perpetuated so much. I kind of a little embarrassed that I didn't see it sooner, but then that's the thing, that's exactly what I'm saying. These guys are blind to it. They don't realise because they're young, they're impressionable, their hormones are running them wild and so on, and they haven't been educated and they haven't been told exactly how to manage these things. So what happens is they end up going out there and thinking it's okay to pay a man to tell them to physically assault and sexually abuse strangers in the streets of Japan, and anywhere. You know, I did a little bit of like short passive research into and when I say this, I mean I went on Reddit, asked a question, and I've got some answers back about about this whole, 10 hours walking alone in New York thing. I did a video about it recently, and I talked about that. But it still bugged me because there were still things about it that I wasn't so comfortable with. And so I asked, like, okay, so when is it okay for men to approach women and so on? And they were just like, there were some women like, never, just don't do it, basically. And some people actually gave like more I'd say balanced advice. Not necessarily more helpful, but balanced advice, because it was clear that, don't ever do it. It's clear, like, if you see someone on their way somewhere or they're walking somewhere, it means they're trying to get somewhere. It doesn't mean they're looking to be interrupted. Obviously, like, in a bar where they're out in a social environment, that's clearer that they're expected, or there's an expectation for them to be approached. But out in the street where they're trying to get somewhere, no. And I can get that. Like, I hate being stopped by fucking people with flyers trying to stop me in the street while I'm going shopping and stuff. I'm not interested. I wasn't interested in talking to you when I left my house, so why the fuck would I be interested in talking to you, like, now? Now that you've just put yourself in front of me. Albeit, and I say this respectfully, I am in a relationship and I do have a girlfriend, but I say this respectively and relatively to the scenario. If I was single and, a girl who was very, very attractive or attracted to me and had good approach came out to me and said hello, then yeah, I'd probably be more likely to stop depending on how busy I was at the time. But that's, that's the grey areas and so on and so forth. But no, it's this understanding, and it's literally as simple as that. It was just a case of actually talking to them and socialising with women and spending more time around them. I'm not saying this like this was the first time I spoke to them, but perhaps what I'm saying is perhaps these gentlemen who buy into this culture that it's okay to pay for advice on how to sexually assault and abuse women, which again I'm saying they're not seeing it that way. They are not seeing it that way, and that's something that they need to be taught and they need to be they need to be shown and have kind of be not exposed to. They need to have that brought up. They need to be shown why that's wrong, but they don't realise that. And perhaps they missed out on this simple matter of just communicating with women on a level where, they're just other people. They're not different species, and that goes into something else that I've realised. Like growing up, and perhaps this is something of my older days, like there is this element, or there was this element, and to some extent there still is this element of women and men being different species, and we can't talk to them properly, and they must be treated differently, and they must be treated separately to men because they're so different, and blah 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 blah. That might be the case in certain scenarios, but not in social scenarios where we can all speak, similar languages. We all understand body language in a basic sense. Hello is universal, a good wave, a good smile, things like that. Small talk is universal, that kind of thing. Except apparently in Sweden they don't like small talk. I don't know. Is that right? Is Sweden? Somewhere around the world they don't like small talk. But no, my point is, people are people, and we should still treat people like people. That's that. It's quite straightforward and quite simple in my eyes. So we seem to have missed out the part where we teach guys that as well. We teach them this matter of fact where you don't need to feel intimidated. You don't need to feel scared to go up and say hello to someone. Obviously, you need to appreciate that not everyone, might be comfortable with you just going up and saying hello to them, but that's a matter of life. Like, we all have those moments where someone will come up and say hello to them. We just won't want them to do that. And sometimes you might be that person. That doesn't mean you have to be scared every time someone wants to say, you want to say hello to someone, and so on and so forth. But ultimately, my point from this whole Julian Blanc thing, and certainly Dapper Laughs and all of this, is I don't think that the pickup artists themselves are the sole problem, and I don't think that doing things like putting a lot of focus into them to be a problem. By all means, boycott them. By all means, let them know that what they're doing is wrong, or remind them, perhaps they do already know, remind them that what they're doing is wrong, definitely. But don't put all your effort and focus into telling everyone how disgusting these people are. Spend some time looking into why these guys are making money from it. Who the fuck's paying for them to tell them all this nonsense? And, what's their background? How did they come about to end up paying for this service? Like, what do they understand about the sexes? What do they understand about their own position on sexual politics and gender politics and so on? Why has that happened? What's the culture they live in that's breeded that? Because that might bring up more answers, and that might be bring up a better solution to the problem of sexual assault and abuse, being put out there as advice as well, being put out there as actual genuine advice, as a good way to approach women that you don't know. You know, apparently hello is just too difficult, so it's much easier just to slam their face in your dick. That's easier than just saying hello now to some men. So that's, you know, that's something that I think we should put more attention to, and not the people who make the money off it. Just because I think that's like if you want to take down a tree, cut off the branches. That's what it says to me. You know, if you want to pull out the weeds, you kill it right at the roots. You don't just pull them out from the surface, because they'll just grow back, and they'll continue to grow back. And I think that will constantly happen. If you wiped every single pickup artist off the earth today, I guarantee you it'll take a week, and the equal number will return. You want to figure out why it's such a problem for men in general, or maybe even for women in some extent. You know, just meeting other people. It's funny because I remember there on TV there were shows where, you know, we teach people how to be confident. We teach people how to feel good about themselves. We teach people how to be able to go out into the world and not feel ashamed of who they were. You know, we used to have these kind of makeover shows where we'd make them dress up and make them feel good. I used to hate those shows, but actually now I'm thinking these were healthier shows. These are better programs. Not that I want to watch them, but they were much healthier and better programs than the ones that we see today, where it's basically how to fake your way into getting into someone's pants, or how to fake your way into getting a date, which is still just as bad, because you're not being yourself. You're not putting the message across that you're being you. You're being someone else. You know, the message should be, you should be fucking confident in who you are. You shouldn't feel the need to be anyone else but who you are, because that puts forward an even worse message that I think men can suffer with. It's the idea that you have to be this certain type of lad. You have to have a particular dialogue. You have to have a script. You have to have you have to be choreographed, basically, before you can get sex. You cannot be yourself, because being yourself will not get you laid. Being yourself will not get you anything you want out of life. And I know that what I've just said has got different connotations, but if you take away this message of be this, if you want to get laid, be this, instead of just be yourself and good things will happen. Be yourself and getting laid will become the background of anything you want to do in your life. Getting laid will no longer be important to you. Getting laid will be nothing to you, because you'll be so happy being yourself and not feeling like, you know, every other guy on the earth has it better than you because they're being this masculine alpha male dickhead. Then I think that will solve a lot of problems. And we won't have to worry about people like Dapper Last, because effectively a bunch of guys out there will just be like, sorry, you actually look and sound like a bit of a dick, and I'm actually glad that I am myself and not you. And you should, and everyone should feel proud for not being this guy, or Julian Blanc for that matter. So I think that that's probably a better message to spread out there, because everyone, I mean, it's amazing, because this is the one message, and it's so fucking simple. It's so simple. It's something that you see very often, but it doesn't seem to get spread around enough. People find confidence sexy. I find confidence sexy. Sexier than a physically sexy person who is an absolute arsehole. Sexier than a sexy person who isn't confident in their attractiveness. You know, if you see someone who's slim, for example, you know, when you see someone who is slim and they talk about, oh, I'm so fat and so on, that's just off-putting, because you're just like, are you kidding me right now? Like, you clearly have lost all perspective on reality, and that's unattractive in itself. You don't seem to be in tune or kind of thinking with your feet on the ground. You seem to have your head in the clouds, and it's a bit narcissistic, and that's not sexy. Confidence in who you are and what you're doing is sexy. That is sexy. And if we put that forward, then instead of teaching guys the lesson of be someone else and, you know, you'll be sexy, it's a case of no, get true confidence in being who the fuck you are, and you will feel sexier. It's not about getting laid, it's not about getting sex, it's about just feeling comfortable in who you are, so you don't have to feel bad about the fact that, so, you know, maybe now and then you don't get laid. Jesus Christ, some people go years without getting laid. Some people go months without getting laid, and it's cool, it's fine. You know, it's not a big problem, guys. It's okay, we can live. It's called masturbating, and it's a wonderful hobby. I suggest you all take it up. But no, the message should genuinely be, just be confident in who you are, get confident in who you are, find out how to be confident with who you are, and that will win you. That will win you over for yourself, and you won't feel the necessity to go out there and learn how to be an absolute arsehole from complete and utter arseholes, and the culture will slowly die. That should be it. And I think that maybe should be the message that we put forward, instead of this horrible idea that, you know, men can't just be who they are. They have to be this choreographed, scripted character who's from fucking mythical fantasy worlds. Basically. I mean, I've had to come to suffer to it. I mean, I've been told many times that I'm not man enough. I get told by women that I'm a woman. You know, I get told by many women that I'm not a man and I'm not man enough. And at first, I think that's probably part of what made me who I was. But ultimately, I realised, you know what? I don't want to be this person, because if you're going to judge me like that, then it's clear that you're not really a nice person to be around. Which means that whatever, if you're something that I might have wanted at one time, I can at least tell myself that if your initial treatment of me is to judge me based on who I am, then what you've drawn is the picture of the relationship that we would have, whether it be friendship or romantic or sexual. That's going to be the typical picture you've given me of the relationship we're going to have, and it's judgment from you to me. I don't want that, and you've immediately become unattractive to me, so I don't want that. And then it's mutual ground. You know, she doesn't want me, I don't want her. It's fine, and you can just deal with that. There's so many ways you can see it. But yes, anyway, sorry, I feel like I'll go around in circles. But that's the message that I think is more important, and I think that's something that we should focus on more than the people who perpetuate this idea. Because I'll be honest, these guys aren't going to go away. They're not going to change. They're not going to stop doing what they're doing, I don't think. Because they're... From where they're sat, what they're doing works for them. From where they're sat, what they're doing is okay and acceptable. And no matter what we can tell some of these guys, their stubbornness, their arrogance, and their ignorance can hold so steadily that no matter what happens, they can think this way to the day that they die. So it's not to say give up trying to tell people that what they're doing is wrong. It's not to say give up trying to stop these people from going out and touring. But what I'm saying is, it might be a bit of a waste of energy constantly trying to tell these guys that what they're doing is wrong. What instead we should do is put energy into telling the guys who are getting advice from them that what they should put their effort into is finding confidence in themselves, no matter what. And putting that message across, definitely. Which I think will be far more effective and far more efficient than trying to, well, cut off trees at the branches, basically, which I think is what we do when we talk about these things. When we talk about people like Julian Blanc and this Dapper Last character. But that's what I think of the matter. Obviously, if you think differently, if you have anything else to say about what I've spoken about today, then please do leave a comment down in the box below. Thank you very much for watching and listening to everything I've had to say. And thank you for kind of sticking by me with these Dan Talks episodes. I don't really script them out, I don't plan them, I just kind of see them. And sometimes I can think about it for a little while before I post a video. Sometimes I immediately erupt and it's like, no, I must talk about this now! And I post a video. But nonetheless, thank you for watching. Do subscribe, comment, click the thumb button, share with a friend if you like this, and I'll see you guys in another episode of I Play Games and Film It. Until then, do have a wonderful day, and of course, you guys always be wonderful. Take care. Bye-bye.
Oh yeah! Too smart, too fat, too shy!